Servus, greetings and hello, it's Tabletop Lenny again, and I'd like to talk about garden dioramas. I mentioned in the last which I uploaded on YouTube, that I'm into garden dioramas or park dioramas. I'd like to make high detailed scale models of garden dreams. I'm into nature and landscape since I'm born, if you want so. I always love to be in the woods and love to go to parks and see how society is influenced by nature, if you want so. And I'm a landscape architect, and so I'd like to bring my experiences in scale modeling when it comes to wargaming or tabletop things into the garden scene. So this is my first try where I practice different techniques and use different materials and try to figure out how a high detailed, more or less realistic garden diorama could look. And I casted my own trees for it. These trees are made out of modeling mass, which is thermoreactive. It's called FIMO. You have to put it in the oven, and afterwards it's hardened. Till you put it in the oven, you can work as long as you want. I don't try to let work on an FIMO sculpt over a few days, but other sculptors told me that you can really work over a year on one sculpt and afterwards harden it, and it is no problem to work such an amount of time on one sculpt. But let's go back to this garden diorama. I'd like to figure out what is to optimize. So it would be really awesome to get from you a really strict criticism. I'd like to really get really try to figure out what I can do better, and to help you to get an idea for what kind of input I'm looking, I'd like to discuss these pieces. As I told you, these trees were sculpted by myself, and I am not satisfied because it's a really rough sculpt. You see the lines of the sculpting tools and things like this, and I optimized this. You will see then the newer scale models, but I'm not really satisfied. The next point which you can see, which is not satisfying on this model, is the way I cut it and I used this foliage. This is a foam foliage which is glued onto a hairy medium, and I pulled it to pieces and then glued it through the tree. And this is not the correct way, because you see the hairs of this hairy medium where this green foam pieces are glued on. You can see them when you make detailed pictures. And I try to cut them away. I even try to burn them away, and this is really dangerous because the foam is also inflammable, and you have a really fast and burning tree on your scale model. So I try to figure out how to do it a better way, and you have to cut this material into pieces, and this makes sure that you don't have many hairs that are standing out of this foliage part. The next thing to talk about or to criticize is the way which plants are to use and which plants perhaps you enjoy. As I told you, this is a practicing of techniques and practicing of materials, testing of materials. And here you can see there are different plants. There are these plastic ones. I think they are from the company called Bush. And then you got these laser cut paper plants, which are from a factory. I'm not sure if it's Noch, but it's a different factory. It's not from Bush. I prefer the plastic ones because I think they look better. You can paint them, and I think they get a more realistic appearance. And then it is also about the story within a diorama. So I used these figures, these miniatures, which are in the scale which is called H0, which is the most common scale for model railways in Germany, perhaps in Europe, perhaps in the world, but you get the most, you have the biggest ranges of miniatures and plants and all kind of modeling materials. But let's go to the next diorama, the second, which I constructed after this one. The second diorama is a little bit different because I try to make it look more equal. I go for the paper cut plants and I repainted them with some ink to give it a more powerful greenish look. The part which I like of this diorama is the mixture of this foliage, but I need to get more static grass. I had some variations of pre-made static grass tufts, but I try to get something like this Grassmaster electric battery thing. I do not want to spend 150 euros, but I try to build it myself so I can produce big areas of static grass, which is really interesting for this topic, because you can make cutted areas of grass and you can make larger areas of higher grass, which is really interesting if you make passes through higher grass areas with this low technique of using this foam foliage, and then you get the higher areas where plants are mixed in and something like this. But for this I have to get my fingers on this magic static grass tool, which makes electric static on this foliage, and then you can, you know what I mean. And if not, just try to find it on Google. As you can see, I use the different methods for making the bark of these trees, and for this I make a stamp out of green stuff and put it on the top of a pencil, and then I stamp the bark in, and this gives a really quick technique to make really interesting looking bark. The stone part that is coming through this garden area is made out of modeling mass. It is obviously to optimize, but in this scale it is, you have to practice to get more details out of it. The idea here is that you have a part where trees are standing, and perhaps fruit trees like apple trees, and then you get a more open area, and these stony parts leads through the open area. Here is a child with a father, perhaps this is the mother, and so you have some interaction on this diorama, and it shows that this is the point of view where you can get a view to all areas of this garden. Then you get this interrupted arms, past arms, and the interruption should show people that you can leave the path, you can walk into the area and spend your time and explore it. Yeah, this is the second one. There are a few things to optimize. I cut the foliage of the trees with pliers, and yeah, it looks really nice. I'm more satisfied than with the first piece, I have to say. But the arrangement of the plants and I'm not sure if this is the good way to use single plants and set them like this. But obviously this gives the piece some highlights, some focus points. Yeah, these are things that I'd like to disputate with you. The third piece is an more landscape-like model. It's not a park or a garden. It's an path which is flanked with hedges in a historical agricultural landscape. In Europe, hedges, mixed various hedges with trees and small and big bushes are really common, and they are the part of the historical landscape. And we also get the the new monocultural big field things. And you walk in this tunnel-like path, which is flanked with the hedges, and go to this installation. And then you get a point into the landscape, and you can realize the connection between the new industrial agricultural landscape and the historical landscape. And I think this is really important to show people what to do with landscape. Yeah, you mentioned I'm a little bit addicted when it comes to landscape. I think the techniques that I use and the modelings and the main appearance, in my opinion, is the most realistic of the three that I showed you. I use some acrylic water effects here to realize that there is I do not know the word at the moment, but you know what I mean. That this Graben, it's in Germany, is there to lead out water from the fields and lead them to an... I do not know the word, but I use an acrylic water effect, and I'm relatively pleased and satisfied with how it turns out. I think about putting a next layer on it to give it more depth, but yeah, I will do that. Then I have to do something with the surrounding of with the edges of the diorama, and I think to use black thick paper or grey paper or something like this to give it a similar look and to make it look more clean and something like this. Yeah, this is the third one, which is more for landscape uses. And I used also no of the paper laser cut plants. I only use this cornflower plastic plants, and I like these plastic plants from Bush, I have to say. And here you come to the fourth garden diorama. This is a citizen garden, a garden which is perhaps surrounded from big buildings. This is a secret place in a city, and yeah, it's not finished, it's work in progress. And I got the same problems with plants, and I use different. Here's a paper cut laser plant. I like these red ones the most from the paper cut plants. But yeah, I think I also prefer the plastic ones, especially these ferns I really like. There's a small mushroom also from plastics, and you get different areas in this garden. You get this area, this is a pool. For this pool I'm looking for a water effect. I'm not sure if I go for acrylic one or that I should try to make it with resin, with a clear resin. And the next smaller one pool is to water the plants in the garden. Then you get some stone plates that lead through the garden. You can leave this path, you do not have to stay on this path, and you get several different places where you can spend your time. In this corner you can have barbecue or something like this, and then yeah, you can stay beyond this small tree and something like this. These are the 4 tries when it comes to landscape and garden architectural scale modeling, and I'm really happy about any input, any idea, any technique, any material that you would recommend for my doings. And if you are enjoying this, if this video gives you some inspiration, it would be awesome if you share my content. And I'd like to announce that I'm not only doing garden scale modelings and dioramas in the future, I'm also in fantasy and science fiction terrain making. These ones, I'm not sure if you can see it. Perhaps if I make the light a little bit darker. These rocks were made with a hot wire foam tool, and by moving the foam piece like this, you get this interesting structure. And I tried to make some orc terrain because I'm playing 40k orcs, and there are coming new orcs. And orc terrain is for beginners and professionals perhaps the most inspiring and the most interesting thing when it comes to tabletop or miniature wargaming terrain. So stay tuned, and I will be back with some introduction and some studio update about orc terrain. So let the walk be with you and give me some input about Octane, but especially for my garden diorama doings. Happy day, happy gaming, happy building, enjoy your life and go for the woods, go into the nature. I would recommend every time. See you soon and bye.